Delgado here as well, and also Jackie Morris Lopez, board members. So welcome aboard to everybody. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Chair. Before I do that, may I ask Brian a question for recording?
Yeah.
For the record, a record question. Brian, as a co-host, I'm not able to see being able to stream this live on Facebook. Do you have that capability? I am recording it, but so we have video for later, but do you have the Facebook feature? I do not.
I do not have that.
Okay. So Chair and Commission, I do want to note to you that we are recording the video or the meeting here at Zoom, but it is not recording live on Facebook at this time.
Brian, on the bottom right, you should be able to, should be your last command on the bottom right between, it's a ... and if you click on it, it'll say record live on Facebook.
Okay, I'll do that.
Try that.
Okay, do I have a
Thank you,
green
sir.
light? Okay, thank
Yeah.
you, Clerk Alley, thank you very much. And let's get the roll call started, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. So Chair David Medeiros,
Here.
Vice Chair Yolanda Delgado.
Present.
Thank you. Board Member Jackie Morris Lopez.
Present.
And noted Board Member Luis Machen, thank you very much. And Board Member Dr. Mary Baines have not joined us yet this evening.
Thank you, Clerk Alley.
So
Please.
just pardon me, I tried to, it requires a 6-digit code that is sent to Veronica's email in order to, or to Rochelle's email in order to go live on Facebook. So I can get there, but I can't, I don't know what that code is.
So what
Let
are
me
you
text
asking us?
Michelle.
What are you asking us to do right now?
I'll text Rochelle.
The meeting can continue. It's
Yeah.
fine. We just are we were just trying to do a Facebook Live. So I apologize for that. We just had that moment of
Well,
pause, but the meeting
so
can continue.
can we now go to the Pledge of Allegiance?
Mhm.
Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we come to item number 2, public comments, and this is for only agenda items. Anybody that's interested in the public who wants to talk about this at this particular time before we start with anything else, do we have anybody, Clerk Alley?
Yes, we do, Chair. We have a few hands raised here, so I'm going to bring in Kara. Kara, once you are in, please unmute your phone and your 3-minute timer will start.
Hi, Kara.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Welcome. I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you, members of the HRB. I'd like to urge that the Historic Resources Board review our historic preservation ordinance, the major and minor provisions in particular. The minor alteration is done by staff, and it does not change the exterior appearance of the historic building that's being repaired, and that it has to be consistent with existing materials and colors. And then the major alteration alters the exterior appearance, except for like materials. And the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is that there are being significant changes being made to roofing, both in our historic district and also currently at our Gateway Windmill Plaza. As you know, the Windmill Plaza, that was a huge effort on the part of the community to make it fit in our city aesthetic instead of the usual strip mall. And so that included rustic heavy wood shake roof that's consistent with the kind of rustic barn theme. And then also, and those roofs are really character defining features. They are extremely prominent. And then it's also taking place in our historic district, and the Mission Cafe is another example. Now, some people may think that wood shake is a fire hazard, but it is actually not. The wood has been impregnated under high pressure to be Class B roofs, and it can even be made a Class A roof with the proper underlayment. Now, we do have other historic buildings where the owners, and I know that the clock shop is one, they put in wood shingles, and that came before the HRB some time ago.
Could I interrupt?
And then also recently we have the Dianza.
Is the comment on an item, Ms. Falk, specifically on the agenda tonight?
I don't think so. I'm talking about roofing.
No, I know, but this is a special meeting and the agenda only provides for comments on items on the agenda. I didn't hate to interrupt.
Oh.
You. And I apologize. I don't like to cut off public comment, but I know if we do,
Okay.
one, we have to do for all.
I thought item 2 was for items not on the agenda.
No,
That's what it reads.
No, it was items on the agenda.
Correct.
That's what I-
Okay,
that's
I'm
what I
sorry.
announced.
I'll bring it up next time.
I was thinking you were going to tag it in with any one of the discussion items.
Yeah, okay. I'm
I
sorry
was
about
thinking
that.
also.
I thought it was not on the agenda.
Yeah, so that's
So,
why we kind of let
anyway,
you go on that one.
I
Okay,
have
thank you,
major
Cara.
concerns about roofing. Thank you.
Thank you again. Okay, anybody else?
Yes, we do have one more here. Maria Orozco. I am promoting you in your 3-minute time will start.
Thank you. Welcome, Maria.
Hi, my name is Maria Orozco. I'm the owner of the property Midnight Express 451 San Juan Hollister Road. And we have a violation. Our violation is on your guys' agenda. And we got our violation or red tag. We got a red tag on March 28th of this year. We allowed the city to come on our property to take a look and take pictures. And we are still waiting for the city to send us a documentation in regards to exactly where the violations occurred and what we can do to remedy them. I have been in contact with Brian and he has sent me pictures, but yet still we haven't gotten any kind of documentation where we could actually fix or correct the violation, or that we even know sense of where the violation occurred so that we could actually correct it. There was a proposal from the city to bring Schaff and Wheeler, a hydrology company, to come on board and make a study on our property to determine the extent of the violation. But I find that to be a little not the way things usually work. You give me my violation and then I could choose to see how I'm going to correct it, or if we can determine where the violation is so that it can be corrected. And I just requesting for the city to please send me that document so then I can proceed to correcting it and we can move out from this situation.
Okay, thank you, Maria Orozco. Anybody else?
At this time, we do not have any other hands raised, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next item entry consent items. All matters listed under the consent agenda may be enacted by one motion authorizing actions indicated for those items so designated. There will be no separate discussions of these items unless requested by a member of the Historic Resources Board, staff member, or a citizen. Okay. That being said, we got item on 3A, which is approve affidavits posting the agenda, and item B, which is approved minutes of April 5th, 2022 Historic Resources Board meeting minutes. So Yolanda, do you have anything you want to have any concerns, comments, questions? You want to pull something off of it or what?
No, I don't, Chair. I don't. Thank you.
Thank you, board member Yolanda Delgado. Anyway, how about Jackie Morris Lopez, board member? Do you have anything you want to add or take away from any of the items on the consent items?
If we're referring to just number 3, there's A and B. I do not have anything that I'd like to pull from item 3, number 3, items A or B.
Thank you, Board Member Morris Lopez. I don't have anything either, so would somebody make a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
I second it, Chair.
Thank,
Madera.
thank you. Can we get roll call on that, please?
Yes. Thank you,
Yes,
Chair.
Clerk Alley. I'm
Thank
trying to remember all these names.
you. Vice Chair Yolanda Delgado.
Yay.
Chair David Maderos.
Yes.
Board Member Jackie Morris Lopez.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Again, thank you all. Okay, next on the agenda is item 4, action items. A being the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee, which is the EDCAC recommendation to the Planning Commission regarding the treatment of parklets in San Juan Bautista. And item B, 4B is rescheduled June 7th Historic Resource Board meeting due to conflict with gubernatorial primary election. So let's go to item A4A. We have staff. Will they please give us a report on that? Which is the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee recommendation to Planning Commission regarding the treatment of parklets in San Juan Bautista.
Chair Maderos may be allowed to speak.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, when you requested just a moment ago whether or not to pull any items, were you talking about just the consent or the entire agenda, including action items and discussion?
No, just item number 3, A and B.
Okay. Are you asking for any recommendations to pull items off of the action section?
No.
Yes?
No.
No purview to pull items off the action.
No.
It isn't necessary to pull items up unless you want to table them.
Okay.
Then they'll be heard in the order in which they're listed.
Okay.
I would like to go forward with listen to what staff has to say.
Will you come back then for board members'
I
recommendations?
will, absolutely.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes,
Okay.
will city staff please report?
Yeah.
Item A, 3, consent item 3A. Thank you.
Yes. Gonna try to get the staff report here just a second. I was just trying to share my screen and it froze, and so now I have to see where everything is. Doesn't look like I have everything. Oh, there we are. Okay. Okay, here's the staff report that you have. And then, the city council directed at the request of the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee to provide input. City council adopted a resolution, as you know, establishing the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee for things like this. On March 2nd, the EDCAC recommended the City Council extend the deadline, and the City Council then adopted a resolution requesting a recommendation by the EDCAC for Planning Commission and City Council, HRB and Planning Commission review for adoption by the City Council by May 31st. And so we're on a deadline established by the City Council for HRB and Planning Commission review this evening. In part, this is why we're having a special meeting this evening. The recommendation of the stop sharing at this point and just get back the EDCAC report so that you can have a look at that. And I'd like you to focus in particular on these 5 organized summary key conclusions from the EDCAC, all of which were adopted by the committee for recommendation of Planning Commission, HRB, Planning Commission, City Council. And I'll just go through them one by one. Parklets are generally perceived to be beneficial to the community and to the sponsoring business. There are noted adverse effects of parklets. However, the benefits outweigh the noted adverse effects. Parklets should not be prevalent on 3rd Street in the short term. The present parklet experience should not be expanded as a means of limiting those noted short-term effects. And those were, by the way, those effects, positive and negative, were reflected in the comments in the memo provided this evening. And it's important to know and understand the attitudes and perspectives of the community, business owners and visitors. And so I think this goes to the need to survey people about the parklet experience, what they found helpful, beneficial, or not, and their attitude toward the public retail and dining experience that's currently there. And then parklets should remain until the 3rd Street Master Plan construction begins. The 3rd Street Master Plan Parklet Plaza concept should be shaped by reference surveys and testimonials, and the parklet experience should be reimagined for use in the context of the 3rd Street Master Plan. So these are the 5 core conclusions adopted by the CDAC for HRB and Planning Commission consideration this evening.
Okay, thank you for that. Let me see now, where do I want to go with this? I'd like to go next to, are there any public comments, concerns, or questions from the public? Clerk Ally, do we have any comments,
Yes,
questions?
we
Hands
do,
raised?
Chair, we do. Thank you very much. I'm bringing in Kara. Kara, if you
Hi,
want to
Kara.
introduce yourself, your 3-minute timer will start.
Okay.
Welcome, Kara.
Thank you. I am a member of the San Juan Bautista Historical Society, and our president wrote a letter on behalf of the Historical Society, an email, and asked that it be made part of the, what do you call it? Part of the meeting. And so I would like you to read that letter because a lot of thought went into it. And since you're asking for how the community feels about the parklets, I think that would actually give you quite a bit of substantial evidence in that regard. So that's the first thing. I would like you to read the record and the letter into the record. And then secondly, the recommendation, it sounds like the parklets are going to stay until the master plan construction begins. And, the master plan hasn't even begun. I understand that some money was budgeted to do a report. And then I think I read somewhere that the actual construction would not take place until 5 to 10 years from now. So I think that is a little, that is like way, much too extensive. And hopefully you have that letter because we're recommending that the parklets be extended until the end of the year. And then when it gets cold, people will want to go inside to dine if, COVID is kind of waning, which it seems to be doing now. So anyway, there are people in the community who are very concerned about the parklets, especially the retail parklets, and the impact that they have on our historic downtown, our National Register downtown. So, and people who are on the Economic Advisory Committee, they are all business owners, or I think most of them, I can't say all for sure, but it's a pretty stacked deck. And there are a lot of other people out there who don't think they're that great because they do block the views of our historic storefronts. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. Staff, do we have a copy of the letter? Can bring it before the record, or read it for the
Yeah.
record, I should say.
Yes, I'd like to. I'm trying to find it at this
Okay.
point. So give me a minute to do that. And Kara, was that letter sent in by Vonda?
Sorry, I pushed her out.
Or did Kara send that? Or did you send that on
Hold
her
on.
behalf?
Let me, I brought her back in. Kara, if you unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
perfect.
No, the letter was written by Vanda Guibert, who is president of the San Juan Bautista Historical Society.
Yes. And did you submit that or did she submit it?
She submitted it.
Okay. All right. Let me look for it.
And as he's looking for that chair, we do have more members of the public who want to speak.
Yes,
Can I let
Go
that
ahead.
continue? And then, okay, thank you. Fran Fitzharris, you are in. And if you unmute yourself, your 3-minute timer will start.
All right, thank
hi,
you.
Fran, welcome, Fran.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I wanted to say, so I've served on, there were 2 committees for the parklets. One early on that worked to create guidelines and standards to make sure that we abide and we respect the opportunity that the parklets were given. I also have been on every conversation, every meeting with city council and planning about the parklets during COVID and after COVID, and recently served on another committee to give recommendations. And so I think the consensus is that we don't need any new parklets, right? We've talked about that, but I really feel that this situation now is having an outdoor experience is a right, just like ADA or anything else. We are going into a situation. I heard earlier about COVID, it's getting better. No one can judge that. It really comes down to you listen to corporate businesses, meetings, everything. You have to provide an outdoor or virtual experience for people. That is our future. And so we really need to look at this parklets for now, but until we provide the parklets an option, another option for an outdoor experience, they need to stay. And I'm not saying we don't want new parklets. That was very clear. We don't want any more parklets, but what we have today, we need to keep those until we provide an option. And that's really the right thing to do. And it's our future, and that's where we are today in the state of the world. So, and I hate to be dramatic about it, but that's really the reality. And we have so much respect for the historic aspect of our town. We really do. We're all on the same page. If you really think about it, we really are. But this is just about accommodating and pivoting for where the world is today. And that is, we have to provide an outdoor experience, an option. I get customers every day at my business. I want to be outside, and I have 2 options, inside or outside, and that's the future. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Fran, for your input there. Yeah, okay, so any other hands raised out there for public comments, concerns?
Anyone else?
questions?
Sorry, thank you, Chair. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak, please press the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen, or for those that have called in, press *9 on your phone and your hand will be raised. Again, that's *9 for those that have called in, or raise the hand button. At this time, Chair, we have no further hands raised.
Thank you, Clerk Alley. Okay, I'll turn this back to the board members, and I'll start with Yolanda Delgado, board member. Do you have any comments, questions, or concerns about consent item 3A? I'm sorry, 4A.
You sure 4A? Okay. David, you and I were on that planning, that committee to make the ordinance of proper parklets. We were a part of the meetings with the business, and
Are you talking about the guidance handbook
yes,
or the guidance? Yeah.
yes. At first it was permanent, then it became temporary because of COVID and whatnot. And then
I don't think it was ever
yeah, and that's what
considered to be permanent, just it was always considered temporary.
temporary permit. Well, it was.
All the final,
Yeah, it came temporary when Brian changed it temporary, and we had that discussion in that meeting. I don't know if I can divulge that. So my question, when are we going to have and it's concerning to me because Miss Baines, Patricia Baines gave me a packet, thank you, and at the end it says, I believe that it would be a blessing to both the merchants and the community, and the new construction of the new Scape Street begins. And she's a part of this things. When is it going to begin? When are we have when is it going to be temporary? When are these parklets going to be temporary and removed because we're waiting on this? I think we need to have some kind of, when is 3rd Street going to be under construction? I've asked this from when? I mean, we keep on giving them extensions and extensions, but we don't know when we're going to start the new Scape on 3rd Street. And this is my concern.
okay, are you asking staff right now that question?
Yeah.
Does staff have an answer for Yolanda at this point?
Yeah, we do, but it's a general answer. It's indefinite, of course, because we haven't put the program together yet. It's been budgeted and will continue to be budgeted. We may need to add some money to it. But I think that what will happen is that we'll first have to, put out, develop the program. We'll probably want to send out our request for consultant assistance in the fall, during fall, October through November. We want to then go through a process of selecting consultants and then preparing the plan. We think that's going to take a little over a year. And then there's a little period of time when we'll be doing construction drawings and developing the actual plan for 3rd Street from an engineering standpoint. That will take another number of months, probably another 9 months to a year. And then construction would take place probably within 2.5 or 3 years. And that's a best guess, assuming that everything goes according to plan and we have the funds and we have the consultants in place and we have a plan. The 3 benchmarks that were discussed by the advisory committee included the complete preparation of the plan, completion of the plan, and then construction of the plan. And then there was also a 4th time period, which was really indefinite, suggested that perhaps we ought to establish a time limit in particular, not with respect to 3rd Street, but some other time limit.
Okay, but
Okay, thank you. Yes, go ahead, Yolanda.
I've been hearing this with Don when he was in charge of those meetings, and there's no end, and it's not fair for these business owners to be adding deadlines, I want to see the end of the rainbow. I mean, you have control of that. Don has control of that.
Okay, is that the gist of your question? Do you have any other questions?
Just when? I want to know when, and I've been asking this for almost 4 years now.
Got it. Are there any other questions? Comments, concerns from you? Board member Delgado? Is that it?
I'm sorry, no, there are, but no, not at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Board member Jackie Morris Lopez, do you have any comments, concerns, questions?
Thank you, Chair Maderos. I guess my comment and my observation is that as a healthcare provider, my other hat, COVID is not going away. I've been on the board a little over a year, almost 1.5 years. And so when the idea of parklets came up, it was to address the pandemic. And that is why we had outdoor dining for restaurants that did not have the ability to accommodate outdoor dining. We only have a couple in town that do, besides Daisy's Bar. They have a patio We have Hardina's, who has a beautiful patio, and we have Doña Esther's. So my frame of reference and thought comes from, yeah, it's okay to have the parklets because they initially were to expand dining experiences because of COVID being transmitted virally through the air. I'm not very much supportive of continuing or adding, and I know that's been brought up, no more new parklets, but I feel like the retail experience is not necessary. So I'm split, and I don't have any questions in my mind where I'm going with this. I feel the restaurants are definitely outdoor dining experience for now till the end of the year. And I'm not real keen on retail. Retail, the parks that we have that are retail, I have to admit, I don't see a lot of shoppers shopping on the retail parklets. One thing that's been brought up to me from other people that are not at this meeting in attendance, community members that maybe don't attend, they really don't like the fact that the parklets are taking up so much of their public access to the street. I know that we're here to promote economic development, promote our downtown historic area, but there are people that really feel strongly against these parklets taking up their access and their right of way to have access. I heard someone equate the outdoor dining experience to a given right as an ADA and whatnot. Well, I also think as taxpayers in the community, we have a right to our roadway. And it's not even so much for me that they're blocking the view of the buildings. I mean, they do, but I also feel that, they are taking away from valuable parking. And as we all know, we have limited parking and it spills into our residential area. So that's a huge problem. And to be honest with you, retail can allow a set amount of people into their shops, whereas the dining experience, they had no options. They had to go to the outdoors to allow people to feel safe to eat. I think extending till the end of the year, no more parklets, and really looking at what the retail for me, and like I said, hearing other people, even in the report that was provided by staff person, assistant city manager Brian, there was back and forth of disagreement on retail parklets amongst themselves. And this is a very small sample, and it is primarily consists of business owners. I sat in as an audience member, and they are pretty much top heavy with business owners. So it's pretty, it's pretty biased that way. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, board member Morris Lopez. Okay, so it comes to me, huh? So yeah, I don't know if I have a lot of questions or concerns, but I guess my question to staff right now, I'm put on record is, what are we? I understand where we're going with this as far as the reviewing it. So we're just reviewing this particular item, and we're going to recommend to the Planning Commission, and that verbiage should be sounding like what? If we're going to recommend, is just to accept the recommendations from the committee or the report and bring it forward for Planning Commission. I understand there's a resolution that's being written for to present to City Council. Yes.
Yeah. So what you're looking at here is a recommendation, because you're a separate body than the Planning Commission. You're looking at a recommendation to the Planning Commission regarding what the HRB would like the Planning Commission to do with the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee's recommendation. So you're a little bit removed from the actual decision eventually, but for now, your role is to recommend to the Planning Commission what they should do with the EDCAC's recommendation it would be to the Planning Commission, then to the City Council.
Right.
So if there are changes that you want the Planning Commission to consider, you're going to be looking at those at the Planning Commission during your next meeting. And, so you'd want to spell those out as the HRB, and then the Planning Commission would take up your recommendations for any changes or if you want to just simply forward the EDCAC's recommendation to the city council as it's currently configured, that would also be, a potential action you could take. But in one way or another, you're going to recommend to the planning commission what you think they should do with it, whether it's to accept it, to amend it, or to throw it out and not recommend it to the city council. So those are your choices as a board.
Mhm. Got it. Okay, so just to throw it out there right now to the board members, does anybody have a motion to make at this time in reference to all the information that we received thus far on this one particular item? Would anybody want to entertain a motion? As you heard, where we need to go with this, we are just reviewing and recommending, and staff has asked us if we wanted to make any changes to recommend for planning commission approval.
David, I have my hand up. I'm sorry to
Go
interrupt.
ahead.
But I remember Dawn said that we should start charging them rent for the parklets for taking up parking. Yes, we added some over there by the baseball field. Should we, one business owner came to me and said, I have to pay for parking.
Okay,
And I don't have a parklet and my patrons can't park there. So I don't know what to say about that or to him. The people with the parklets. Brian, do you know if we're charging them rent for the parklets? And some of the owners that don't have parklets, are they paying for parking where they can't park? That's a question I have for Brian. And then we can go forward.
There's no charge for parking, and there is an encroachment permit fee. That is the only fee that parklet users are asked to pay at this point. So there's no charge.
Okay.
Beyond that permit fee.
Okay. So do the business owners in general have to pay for maintaining the roads and stuff? Do they have to pay a fee like that?
There's no current business improvement tax or other kind of tax in the downtown right now.
Okay.
okay. Any other questions from the board? Jackie?
Yes, thank you, Chair Maderos. I have one question. I keep hearing that there's a deadline. So, there's, in all fairness, even though our meeting got canceled, there's a lot of information to review. And some of the information in that packet is slightly confusing and conflicting. So I'm having issues with that, given even the extra week. The other issue is that I hear this deadline, this hard and fast deadline of May 31st. So can someone speak to that? Is that an absolute deadline? Can this maybe carry over so that we can have a little bit more time until the June 3rd or June 7th meeting? I mean, where is this deadline coming from?
The deadline's coming from the city council through a resolution that they've adopted. And so it's direction to staff and to the various boards and committees, as I see it. If the Planning Commission, HRB and Planning Commission don't take action, I believe that we have an agenda item before the city council regardless. And the city council will, take into account that the HRB and Planning Commission weren't able to make a decision. That's just going to be the fact of the matter, I think, at that point. But we're obligated to bring an item back before the city council on the 31st, regardless, by direction of the city council through that resolution.
Okay, thank you, Brian. I appreciate that answer. So it sounds like we have to make a decision tonight, one way or another, whether we amend it, accept it, or throw it out, and then city council can do with it what they wish. So my recommendation is to make some amendments before we pass this on to Planning Commission, which is ourselves.
And the amendment is going to read as such.
The amendment for me, and maybe someone can help me clean this up, and speaking off the top of my head, is that we extend the parklets till the end of the year. We don't make any recommendations as to anything else other than the ones that are there. they stay up until the end of the year. And I truly believe as a healthcare provider, COVID is not done with us.
So, okay, so that kind of answers the question that Yolanda had earlier as far as the deadline. So that recommendation will go forward as recorded here. And also before we go any little bit, let me stop with Morris Lopez. Is that it?
That is what I would like to amend.
Okay.
That
Can I
Yes,
ask for
go ahead.
clarification? The EDCAC's recommendation, key conclusions are in 5 parts. And I'm going to put them up on the screen just one more time. And I think that Commissioner Morris Lopez's suggestion goes to one of the considerations here. So I can. Yeah, so is that on the screen now?
No.
No, okay,
Not yet.
let me go back and get that just a second. Is that up now or not?
No.
On it?
Maybe you can read it.
Yeah, okay, that's a good suggestion. I had this report up just a minute ago. But I think it's worthwhile taking a minute to do this. So,
Okay.
so let me read it. I read all 5 of the considerations. Parklets are perceived to be beneficial, sometimes not so beneficial. Parklets should not be prevalent. It's important to know and understand the attitudes of the community. Those are the first 4, and those were generally seen to be acceptable. The sticky part here is the first sentence in the 3rd consideration, which is parklets should remain until the 3rd Street Master Plan construction begins. And so Commissioner Morris Lopez's suggestion would just alter that one sentence in these recommendations to say that parklets should remain until the end of the year.
Correct.
And the rest of these key considerations in your packet, in the report, would be continued on to the Planning Commission and City Council.
Correct. So let's do that. I think that answers Board Member Delgado and also Morris Lopez's questions on that. So I think that kind of puts a stake in the ground for as far as the time allotted. So let's go with that change before we make a motion. The other thing is the letter. Are we going to get to be able to bring that letter that Carol Vonk was talking about?
I have looked for that letter and I cannot find the email that was sent. And what I'm hoping is that Kara, who may still be on the meeting, can maybe she was copied on that letter, and if so, we can get it into the record. I'm going to continue looking for it, but I've been searching my emails from Trish, who would have sent it if she received it from Vonda or from Vonda herself. And I'm sorry, I just can't see it.
Okay, how about our clerk? Allie, do you have a copy of it? No?
Chair, I did not receive a copy of that.
David, can I ask
Yes.
Brian a question?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes, make sure it's relative to exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly. I want to be exact because I don't want any flaws. In extension 3, as Commissioner Morris Lopez has stated, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I put my headsets. Adhere to the current guidelines, is not required to extend parklets. All parks brought up to code, current guidelines and standards. And then the city should charge for parklets. So then we're going to start charging, because you said only changing the 30 days on that on the fourth, parklets should not be prevalent on Third Street in the short term. Parklets should remain for to the end of the year. That's what you were going to add. But I also want to add no more parklets. And 6, there should be more parklets. I would like to have no more parklets.
Yeah, that is the current recommendation for the EDCA, from the EDCAC.
Yeah,
There be no more parklets. And
Well,
so,
no, it
yeah.
says it should be more parklets. On number 6, this is why
Oh,
I want to go over this so we can have this verbiage
Okay.
correctly.
well, let me clarify then the purpose of this memo here. Let me share the screen so that we know exactly what you're looking at.
Oh, yes, I see that.
I want that
Yeah,
correction.
yeah. So let me get the actual report for you. Just a minute. No, that's not it. I don't know why I'm having such trouble finding this. Okay, here we go. So, I found it. Okay, I'm being frustrated by my technology. Just a second.
May I speak? This is Board Member Morris Lopez. Brian, I'm looking at the memo and it looks like it's on the top of page 3. Item number,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, okay. Let me see. Oh, here we are. I found it. Thank you so much for your patience. Okay.
We got it.
Okay, so this is the memo. Okay, here we are. Here's the report. So the way this report is prepared really follows the EDCAC's overall process for making decisions on this topic. And it's a highly organized engagement exercise that the committee even assigned a subcommittee to handle. And you'll see this in the very first few paragraphs here regarding the overall process. So first, the committee was asked to give their opinions or individual opinions, which they did. Those were noted, and that those opinions were brought back to them in an organized form. And that is in section 3, organized discussion summary. And so in the notes that are attached that were used to prepare the organized discussion summary, there were several key conclusions that came out of the organized discussion summary. And what the committee did was they derived these five key conclusions from the organized summary. And these are the recommendations that the EDCAC wanted to send to the City Council. Not anything from the organized discussion summary and not anything from the notes, but because it was important to explain to everyone how the EDCAC came up with these 5 key considerations. The rest of the material was included in the memo. So you see all the notes, you see the organized discussion summary from which these 5 key considerations were derived, and then you see these key considerations that are actually the EDCAC's recommendation to the Planning Commission, HRB and City Council, Planning Commission and City Council. So the focus at this point with respect to their recommendation should be only on these 5 key considerations, not the organized discussion summary and not the notes that were used to create these these 5 considerations. So I'm not saying don't pay attention to the rest of the memo. I'm just saying understand that the rest of the memo outside these 5 considerations are all about the committee's process and discussion and are a record of how they reach their decision. And so you might want to pick and choose from the organized discussion summary to add content to these 5 considerations. And as Jackie did, for example, you might want to take a piece of them and change them so that they're more reflective of, some portion of the notes or organized summary that you thought was, better. I just thought it's important to understand that these 5 points here are the EDCAC's recommendations, not the whole memo.
Okay, so how does, Yolanda, you were just told some information just now, so we're going to go forward with this recommendation. And so far, is this making sense? We're going to go forward with.
Well, the reason I brought the other stuff up is because Brian said that you want to change where
If we want to change, yes.
yeah, where he said
The
that we should
verbiage
be.
itself.
Can I speak? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When Brian said that, okay, you want to go to C, and Commissioner Lopez wants to do the 3rd restriction and to make it a 30-day instead at the end of the year instead of indefinite. And that's why I also read the parklet brought up to, and I like that the parklet should be brought up to the guidelines. The city should charge for space. That was on there. We should consider, that there should be no more parklets being made. Parklets should be allowed to have individual expressions. No, that should not be in there. And that's why I was going to talk about this, because we are a historic town, and we discussed this when we made the guidelines that they have to be with the motif of a historical, as you might remember, where that was a big issue about keeping it with the old time feel of San Juan Bautista. And that's why I just went over it to say, because Brian brought it up, short-term parklets, and that we would only have to change 3A about only till the end of the day. And that's where I'm at.
So
Okay.
the only thing I've heard so far is the timing, that we wanted to stop at by the end of the year, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that's the change we want to put in there. However, we want to write it in there, but that's the motion we want to make a correction. And if we're going to go forward to the planning commission, that's what we want to recommend so far. Also brought up was the fact that, so let's see.
Chair Medeiros,
Yes.
Karabog did send Vonda Giebert's message to you. You all received it in an email from her, but I'd be happy to read it into the record now if you like.
Yes, please.
Okay, so first of all, she wants no comments on her email, which good advice. Then she says, hopefully everyone had a chance to read the May 6th Monterey Herald article titled Carmel Places Outdoor Seating on the Back Burner, Design Updates to Come. The mayor stated that this is not something simple that can be done capriciously. Their parklet program expired April 30th, and a recent meeting offered a detailed summary of the next steps Carmel would need to take to establish permanent seating in the public right-of-way, diverting staff resources from other pressing projects. Similarly, we feel our staff needs to be redirected to long deferred infrastructure and maintenance issues. Comments below reflect the position of the San Juan Bautista Historical Society through the Parklet report included in this meeting's packet does not convey a clear action. Please enter this email into the record and read aloud at the meeting. Number one, during COVID, state of California identified essential and non-essential businesses. Parklets for essential hospitality businesses should only have been allowed in San Juan, not essential retail. Community Center at 3rd and Mariposa is festively decorated for each holiday by the San Juan Committee and is truly a Kodak photo spot, which attracts the community and visitors, hence no need for a community parklet. Hospitality businesses with existing outdoor space should not be allowed parklets. For example, 18th Barrel, Daisies, and Bears Hideaway. Number 3, establish a moratorium on any new parklets. Number 4, parklets take up valuable real estate parking to extend business owners' square footage at no cost. This is the public right of way, and now that the pandemic has dissipated, no longer as much a public safety necessity. If parklets are allowed permanently, they must be enforced. Design guidelines and a ratio of parklets to free space. A feasibility study would need to be done to first assess infrastructure of 3rd Street. Parklet design should be attractive, minimal, not detract from the ambiance of architectural details of the nationally registered 3rd Street Historic District. Parklets should be composed of non-flammable materials and have low profile, for example, or such as attractive bollards, metal tables, chairs, and umbrellas, bistro style. Number 6, 3rd Street is not simply the 3rd Street Historic District. It has the esteem of being listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Therefore, any plans for a 3rd Street master plan, perhaps for the ultimate creation of permanent parklets, would be subject to federal guidelines, Secretary of the Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties. Number 7, rent should be charged to permanent parklet owners for the use of property as their private space. And 8, finally, let the parklet owners avail of the upcoming weather and maximize their sales revenue. In the fall, let's revisit permanent hospitality parklets, depending on COVID, and take down the retail parklets. Number 9, surveys and anecdotal information do not yield reliable scientific evidence. Use real data such as sales tax revenues to the city to assess the economic success of parklets. Thank you for your consideration on behalf of the Board of Directors, Vande Gebert, San Juan Bautista Historical Society. And that is a date dated sent Sunday, May 15th at 5:04 p.m. to the city manager, assistant city manager, and planning commissioners.
Hey, thank you.
That will be in the record.
Okay, so it comes to me now. I have written, I think, based on what I heard today, I've written what I think in the last portion of the report, as far as the summary goes, I'd like it to read this way. If we're going to recommend to the Planning Commission, the temporary parklets may remain until the 3rd Street Master Plan construction begins at the discretion of San Juan Bautista City Council to be reevaluated at the end of year 2022. 3rd Street Master Plan, 3rd Street Master Plan Parklet Plaza concepts may be explored and considered based on an effective city and community economic business strategy. The parklet experience should be reimagined for use in context of the 3rd Street Master Plan and in compliance with local, state, and federal standards to preserve and protect 3rd Street's historical value and to complement the unique San Juan Bautista appearance and experience. I think I want to go forward with that. I think it puts it in a nutshell what all the members, board members were kind of talking about how we're going. If we're going to run this, and as far as the parklets go, let's go until the end of the year for now, see where that is. That's the time stop. We're going to look at this again, see where we're at with this master plan, and how that's gonna fold in, maybe we're gonna have more information then. But in the meantime, there will not be any more parklets until it comes back to us again for review, and it goes before city council to approve that. How's that sound?
This is Board Member Morris Lopez. If
Yes.
I so may speak, Chair Maderos and Board Member Delgado. Chair, I have a concern with what you said. Thank you for your effort to concisely get everybody's thoughts, but I'm in disagreement with you mentioning anything about the master plan. I think it would be cleaner and just keep it to the point that we are in agreement to let these parklets go forward till the end of the year as is, with the caveat that we know that no more will be built. I don't want any verbiage saying that we're going to grandfather these parklets in, because that actually construes leaning towards permanence. So I think we need to just, my intent was just to say, let's let them go the way they are until the end of the year, without mentioning the master plan, without mentioning grandfather in. I saw that in the notes of this report. So that is my feedback for you. Thank you.
I think we're saying all the same things.
No, you need to leave out the verbiage of master plan. I'm not in agreement with that.
Okay, could we have them be updated and kept clean? Because I saw in the Mission Cafe, the umbrellas don't work. We're not keeping them up, they're not, what was it? That's all I want to add. I agree with everything else you said until the end of the year. But I just want to put in there that they need to be up to code, because when I see umbrellas not working and some of the flashing coming off, that is my concern for safety. So I would like, to be.
I think I put that in there.
I don't think I heard that, but that's all I want.
To be in compliance with local
okay.
and state and federal standards. When it comes to historical value, when it comes to economic strategy and what have you. Now, I mean, I didn't hear anything about safety that we're going to go forward with or anything like that, but that's all part of the package. I mean, none of these things happen without safety first and whatever comes in. And of course, the value of what's going to happen, whatever we do with Main Street. So that language is in there because that's what was brought before us. So that was my answer, and I think it's in a nutshell. But hey,
we do.
Yes.
There is an annual inspection that's conducted for health and safety reasons.
Right.
So we would continue with that. Fire department, building inspection, city engineering.
So I'd like to make a motion. Entertain a motion, anybody?
I entertain the motion that we accept the recommendations for the Economic Development Association Committee and recommend that the parklets go forward till the end of the year, that no new parklets are allowed to be built, and we will revisit this issue again once that time frame has expired.
I second that motion.
Can we have roll call on the vote for this particular item?
Yes.
Which, you want me to read that for you, or are we all got it? This is for action item, which is number 4, action item A, Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee. Recommendation to the Planning Commission regarding the treatment of parklet in San Juan Bautista. The motion is, that's what we're voting on right now.
Okay.
Yep.
So Vice Chair Yolanda Delgado,
Yay.
Chair David Maderos,
Yes.
Board Member Jackie Morris Lopez.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next subject on item 4, action items 4B, rescheduled June 7 Historic Resource Board meeting due to conflict with gubernatorial primary election. Staff? What day are we going to schedule?
Brian, you're muted.
The choices, as I understand it, are that you would reschedule for a different day that week, or you would reschedule for the following week. You know, at your discretion.
Who's got a calendar? Does
Uh,
anybody got any ideas right now?
I like June 6th, June 6th, June 6th.
June 6th? Board member Morris Lopez? I'll be right back.
I am checking the calendar.
Brian, we have a council meeting, June 14th.
Right.
Thank you.
My suggestion is later on that week, with the primary going on, people might be doing their last minute choice selections on the 6th. So what about the 10th, which is actually
Friday.
9th is a Thursday, like today's a Thursday.
You say June 10th?
No, June 9th. is a
Oh,
Thursday.
9th, okay. Let me check that out.
I can't make June 9th.
How about June 8th?
Okay with me.
We do
Maybe.
have we do have a community engagement series of meetings that week of June, and June 8th was scheduled as a charrette date for the active transportation plan. You know, I suppose we could change that, of course, because it hasn't been advertised yet.
I'm good with 8th. Is everybody else good with 8th?
Yeah, I'm good with the June 8th. I can't do 9th or 10th. I have commitments.
June 8th is fine with me.
Okay. Let's do that, staff.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Do we need to get a roll call on that? And the question is, we are going to have a Historic Resource Board meeting on the 8th of June instead of June 7th.
So Chair, due to the fact that this is basically a canceling of your regular board meeting and
Yeah.
a scheduling of a special meeting. And City Attorney Rathi, please correct me depending on how formal you want to be, but there should be a motion for calling this special meeting, just to formalize it if we're going to take a vote.
Yes.
We need something to vote on. So a motion, some
Agreed.
formal action.
Agreed,
by the-
certainly. That makes a great deal of sense, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, somebody wants to move that?
I make a motion to make change our June meeting from the 6th to the 8th.
And have a special meeting on the
And have a
8th.
special meeting on the 8th.
Okay, let's roll call on that.
I
Who was
second,
the second? Thank you, Jackie.
yes.
Jackie's second, yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. Moving things along. Yes, good, Chair. Okay, so for vote, Vice Chair Yolanda Delgado.
Aye.
Thank you. Chair David Maderos,
Yes.
Board Member Jackie Morris Lopez,
Yes.
motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, as far as the agenda item number 5 discussions, can we do this during the planning commission meeting instead? And aren't they going to be the same subject to discuss? Or do we have to go twice? through
Yeah,
this?
let me just check the planning commission agenda for one thing. Yes,
We can do all A, B, C, D, E, and F and during the planning commission meeting.
yes.
They're all the same identical. So can we make a motion for that, please?
I make a motion that we move discussion item number 5, items A through F, in the context of our planning commission meeting, which is being held after this meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second that we move these discussion items to the planning commission meeting.
Thank you. Can we have roll call on that?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Vice Chair Yolanda Delgado.
Aye.
That was a yes, affirmative.
Yes, aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Chair David Maderos,
Yes.
Board Member Jackie Morris Lopez,
Yes.
motion passes unanimously.
Again, thank you. Now on the agenda, item 6, comments. Board members, any further comments from the board members? Board member Morris Lopez.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank everyone in the audience and staff and my fellow board members and all the thoughtful consideration into preserving our historic nature. Things have been really tough for the last 2 years with COVID. Things have been tough in how to make our town viable downtown. It's not an easy decision that we sit here. We're all volunteers and we try to put our town and the community first. And of course, you know, we want to support the business owners as well. But at the end of the day, we are all community and we have to respect that this is a historic community with a lot of richness to it that we have to continue to preserve.
Very good, thank you. Board Member Delgado.
Thank you, Chair Maderos. First, thanks, Norma Ali, for conducting this meeting. You were very professional. I wish to have you at all times. Robert, right? I don't want to, how do you say your last name? Richie? Rafi. Thank you for being on board and keeping us straight.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for all the comments from the public. Chair, thanks. This meeting went smoothly. Just another, to be on record, Brian, when you invite some of the commissioners to go on walks, I think you should invite us all, not just one. It shows disparity of treatment, okay? For new development, when you invite just one person. And that, yes, Norma.
Chair,
Yes, thank you.
I know this is board member comment, but I do
Yeah.
want to point out that an invitation is one thing, but we need to ensure that there's no quorum in attendance at the time. So one at a time, two at a time, of 5 of you. Invitation is one thing, but Brian, make sure that when that happens, that there's no more than 2 members present at a time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I too want to ditto what everything just was spoken. As far as the citizens go, as far as, but I do want to thank Robert for being here, our
Sure, thank you.
attorney. It's good to have you and a good job on everybody's part when it comes to being a board member, what have you, and the public. We got some really good input. Appreciate that very much. And for our director as well. Thank you so much for putting your, whatever staff has to do. Great job. Thank you. Now, do we have anything from the community development director? You're muted.
We have some things to discuss under discussion items, and so I'll just wait till then.
I'm waiting for that too. Okay, that being said, who wants to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second it, yes.
Thank you both. Clerk, do we have, Ally, do we have a roll call on that vote, please?
Yes, thank you. Vice Chair Yolanda Delgado.
Aye.
Chair David Maderos.
Yes.
Board Member Jackie Morris Lopez.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
Can we
Thank
take a
you.
5-minute break before we start the next
5-minute
one?
break.
Okay.
Bob, could you come back for planning commission?
Sure.
Okay,
Let
great.
the record
thanks.
show that
Thank
the
you.
meeting, the
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Historical Resources Board
Welcome
meeting has
sight, Bob.
adjourned formally at 7:19 p.m.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Norma.
Now, we're starting the planning commission meeting at 7:27. And prior to the meeting, I would like, this meeting will be conducted pursuant to the government code 54953, parentheses E1A, in order to minimize the spread of COVID virus. The planning commission is conducting this meeting by Zoom and will be offering alternative options for the public participation. We are encouraging you to watch the meeting on Zoom or Facebook. And with that, Norma, could you please call make a roll call, please?
Chair
Go ahead.
Chair Yolanda Delgado.
Present?
Vice Chair Jackie Morris Lopez.
Present.
Notation Commissioner Dr. Mary Baines is absent. Commissioner Luis Machain is absent. Commissioner David Maderos.
Here.
We have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Yes, we have a quorum. let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic to which we stand.
One nation,
Nation under God,
indivisible, with
for
liberty.
individuals for all. Thank you. Okay. Attorney Rafi, could you explain the public comment not on the agenda that we will not be doing tonight of the misprint, please?
Yes, this evening under item 2, public comment is only going to be received on items on the agenda this evening. In other words, the items listed on the agenda, we will take public comment on those items at the time the item is heard by the commission. Unlike regular meetings, which require an area for public comment on items that are not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body. In the case of a special meeting, it is only required that items be taken on those items that are listed on the agenda. So I hope that's clear.
Okay, thank you, because there was a misprint. I just want to clarify that. Thank you very much. Okay, on the informal project, number 3, informal project, there's nothing to report, Brian? No new buildings, no new permits, nothing?
I'm sorry, Chair.
Yes.
We need an opportunity to let the public speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Okay. It gets exciting in a meeting and we want to get moving.
Is there any public comments that are on the agenda tonight?
Members of the public in attendance, if you would like to speak, please raise your hand. Use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen for those that are joining us by Zoom. Those that are joining us by calling in, press the *9 button on your phone and your hand will be raised. We do have someone who would like to speak. I'm bringing in citizen here. It's Maria Orozco. You are in. If you unmute yourself, your 3-minute timer will start.
Well, I'm just calling back. I'm just touching back the base in regards to the violation. You guys are going to talk about that right now, about the violation on my property, 451 San Juan Hollister Road, Midnight Express property. And I just wanted to emphasize that on that quote that Schaffer and Willer gave the city for a study on our property, it does show that they are going to be, their task is to evaluate what kind of fill was put in the property. And I do want to emphasize once again, I did not put any fill on my property. And I don't know where their fill concept is coming from. There is pictures on my property. And if they can see the piles of dirt that are there pertain to the holes that are right there that are not filled. So if you push the dirt into the hole, you'll have no more dirt on top. The dirt that was placed against the embankment was dirt that I pushed against the embankment with my skid loader by scraping dirt off of my same property. It had no dirt come in from anywhere since our last violation that we had gotten, that we removed all the dirt that you guys requested us to remove. And I do want to emphasize it, that you guys understand this, because it's already been said so many times, I don't have fill at all. And if we're going to be talking about floodplains, I would request you guys to go out and see the RV park. They have fill put against the embankment of the creek, and they have 3 to 4 feet of big amounts of land that they've covered already, and they're in the floodplain. And I've already brought that up to council many times. I don't know what you guys need for you guys to go take a look at it and then maybe red tag it the way you guys have red tagged me. And I don't wish any harm on my neighbor, but obviously there's something happening on my property that it's been focused completely, and you guys are so concerned about floodplain and being impacted, but yet still you're getting a very, very big impaction on the other side, and you guys seem to have a blind eye. And you guys pass through there all the time because it's right in front of well number 6. So I just want to put that out there, that if you guys can please be equal with both parties. And, I wouldn't be so frustrated and angry with the city, but it seems like there's some kind of discriminatory action happening here. And I feel that there's bias. I mean, if I'm going to be violated for something, I'll take my violation, I'll correct it, I'll do what the city needs. But I feel that we should be treated equally. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, If there's anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen or press *9. Chair, we have no hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you, Normally. Let's go to informal project reviews now, please.
I have nothing to report, and I'll cover the other items under discussion items.
What special?
And under presentations and reports.
Oh, okay. But there's no ADUs being built, there's no new buildings, there's nothing to report?
I don't have any projects to report.
Okay. Okay, so let's go to presentations and reports, please.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of work that's gone on during the past month or so related to the community plan, which is, you remember the Urban Growth Boundary Committee's recommendation that came before the Planning Commission and City Council. That Urban Growth Boundary recommendation was turned into a community plan effort that involves looking to establish a sphere of influence for the city that is can be adopted by the general plan. Everyone knows we have a sphere of influence that's recognized by LAFCO. It is not relevant to the new general plan. We have a proposed sphere of influence in the general plan that has never been presented to LAFCO. So we're really basically in limbo with respect to our sphere and any consideration of urban growth boundary for any particular reason, whether that's development, conservation, preservation, or agricultural land uses. So we did have some community meetings beginning of May. We had community meetings all week, and then we had an evening charrette, which was attended by several commissioners, and we had some great input. What will happen next is that there will be a series of alternative maps prepared by our consultant, and we will put those out there for public comment. We are going to have our website organized. You already can go on our website and look at content related to both the community plan and the active transportation plan. You'll be able to see a map with respect to the active transportation plan. We're actually able to put comments on the map and have those displayed as users log on. So I would encourage everyone to look at our website, look under the planning department projects of community interest, and you'll see those two locations where you can read about these two programs. The community plan, there will be an opportunity also, in addition to more community meetings about the alternatives being presented on the community plan, there will be an opportunity for people to go to the library and use the computer at the library or record comments at the library via a station that we'll have set up there just for free access regarding comments on the community plan. And also after we have the next series of community meetings on the active transportation plan, we'll do a similar thing for there. But we want to move into the community engagement program so that people actually will have an opportunity to see how the land uses could be configured. There'll be some land use tables, some acreage takeoffs, some quantities for different land uses that are posted there, and you'll have an opportunity to weigh in on what you would like to see for the community going forward. And then those will be assembled, those comments will be assembled. There'll be a joint Planning Commission City Council meeting coming up later on in the summer. And then in the fall, we hope to wrap things up in September through October, through November, for presentation to LAFCO, to the county, and then to LAFCO on our sphere and urban growth boundaries scenario. So we'll see what happens. It's a very exciting moment for us. And the intent here is to meet our regional housing need objective or allocation, and then to prepare us for our important attributes of our community character surrounding our existing community. With respect to the active transportation plan, we intend to have community meetings during that first full week of June 6th through the 10th. We had scheduled a charrette for the 8th. And I believe your planning commission meeting on the 9th then will be not conflict with that. But there will be other community meetings during that week that people can attend, just like the community plan. So that'll be another great opportunity for people to weigh in on active transportation improvements, bicycling, walking, and related amenities and connections and linkages and throughout our community. So look for those. And that's all I have with respect to those two programs. Any questions?
Is there any public comment on this? Norma?
Yes, we do have someone. Kara, I'm moving you into the meeting. If you unmute yourself, your 3-minute timer will start.
Thank you. On the first item that Brian went over, I'm a little bit concerned that it seems to be primarily computer-based. And because I know I tried to work with the redistricting, which also had, the state redistricting project, and trying to work with maps online, I know for myself was very difficult. I did not have the expertise to figure out how to do it. So if this is going to be all computer-based, I think you're not going to get the older population. You're going to get the young kids, the people who probably, the techies who probably already work in Silicon Valley. And you may not really get a good cross-section of the community. That's my only concern, that you have some kind of a forum where other people can come in personally and maybe work with it under some kind of guidance. Thank you.
Yes, we did have our community plan evening charrette, which was a hands-on experience for people who attended. Some 50 odd people attended. So I agree with that. We need to have multiple opportunities for people to comment through various venues. So yeah.
Anyone else that wishes to speak, please raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen or pressing *9. Madam Mayor, Kara does have her hand raised.
No, not Mayor, Chair.
Chair.
I'm sorry.
I did that earlier too. I apologize.
Okay, so now what did you say?
Kara still has her hand raised. She did have 1 minute 44 seconds remaining on the clock. So I'd like to bring her back over. Never mind, she's gone.
Okay.
Never mind.
Give her time.
Thank you very much. We have no further hands raised at this time, Chair.
Thank you. Cara, is she coming? Are you bringing Cara back? No, okay. Okay, commissioners. Jackie, Commissioner Jackie, Vice Chair Jackie, do you have any comments on the 4A and 4B?
Thank you, Chair Delgado. I just want to say that I was present and there was a very good turnout on the evening charrette. My only concern was that it wasn't still, I think, a fair or cross representation of the community. So I think the efforts that the city is putting forth to have multiple opportunities. And I like what community member Cara Vonk stated, because a lot of people don't have computer tech savvy. So I think just good old pencil and paper might help. That's a good input. And also, I think that this is our time. This is our time as a community to get out there and give your input as to how far, how wide, or maybe not how far or wide you want the city to grow. Because with these growth boundaries of sphere of influence and urban growth boundary, that implies, that we are going to grow. And with that comes a lot of things that we have to fulfill. So it's not an easy task and it's not a minor task. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Jackie Morris. Commissioner David Maderas, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
No questions or concerns right now. But yeah, comments, lots of them. I mean, I went through all the sessions that we had. I attended all that. It was kind of nice to walk in, even though I wore a mask, and sometimes we didn't have to because of the way the situation was. So that was a little a new experience that we probably need to start doing more of, but we're still in the middle of some things that we maybe, but anyway, all the sessions have been extremely important. I think there's been some outstanding participation from the public. I think in Charlotte that we had, there was really good attendance. I was sitting there rubbing shoulders with some really important people from our community who had some really nice things and ideas to talk about, rubbing shoulders with our supervisor, Kosmicki. He was sitting at our table at the charrette, and that was great experience. And so anyway, I'm looking forward to what's going to happen next. And there are a lot of things I think that's been planned. It's going to happen all year long, basically until the end of the year. And I think what I've done since all the attendance I've gone to, I've been able to keep connected with staff and even our supervisor, what have you. I mean, it's been awesome to hear what's going on and what we're going to do when it comes to a sphere of influence and what we're going to do with our little town eventually. So kind of ditto on what everything Jackie said and yourself, Yolanda. It's been a tremendous experience for all of us. And I think, like I said, looking forward to it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Maderos. I wasn't able to attend because some of them were during the day, and on Wednesdays and Thursdays, Fridays, my nights are usually taken. But I'm really, I'm glad to hear from both the commissioners that it was a great turnout. I look forward to attending the active transportation plan update. I wish there was more transportation from San Juan to Gilroy, and we wouldn't have to drive into that place. It's very limited, I understand, but I'm ecstatically happy about that, and I'd like to attend that. Could we have some of those meetings at night because I don't get home till like 5:30 on some days, Wednesdays out, we have more people in the community that are working now because COVID is lifted. Can we have a survey from Monkey survey to find out what time is best for the whole community of San Juan, so we can incorporate the in the 20s, 30s, and 40s to see what time is good for them. But I really am excited about the transportation plan, the sphere of influence, and the urban boundary growth. With that, do you have anything to say, Brian?
Only that we will provide, as much variety as we can in the venues that we offer people to participate in. And, so yeah, I agree. We need to do as much as we can.
And thank you for putting 4C on, for allowing Chair Commissioner Morris Lopez to talk about her report of the Academy. Would you like to give a report on that, Jackie? Commissioner?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. Bye.
It's basically a very brief. I did not prepare a report or any slides. I was awarded the privilege to attend, as all of us were as commissioners. It was sponsored by the California League of Cities. It was held in San Ramon, California, which is a very lovely community. I've never been there before, but it's just very nice. It's right next to Danville. And this was held March 16th, 17th, and the 18th. So there were 3 8-hour days of sessions and talks. And like I said, it was sponsored by the California League of Cities. It was titled the Planning Commissioners Academy, and it was geared towards teaching and giving us a 101 on us new commissioners, but also there were quite a few, of course, experienced commissioners from all over California. I was lucky to meet the table that I was sitting at. There were a couple of people from planning commissioners from the city of Soledad, so I consider them in our neighborhood. And the crux of the talk was, like I said, to train us new people and also experience. But they were talking a lot. A lot of the focus was on all of these new housing bills that have been passed in the state of California, and that's all I'll speak to. And they're in regards to the response to the housing shortage. And what I learned with this housing shortage has been going on for about 30 plus years, like 1980s. It's not as recent as we are, or I was led to believe. This is something that has not been addressed properly by our state. And there's a lot of reasons for that I won't get into, but it was very eye-opening. A lot of these new Senate bills, assembly bills, housing bills, whatever you want to call them, they're really a response to get cities to start building, and that equals more housing density. I have to tell you that it's not been received always positively by the cities, and there was discussion around that. Because with that density comes infrastructure expectations and whatnot, some of the issues that we're having now, where do these people park? So there's just a lot of issues with it, but overall it was a very good experience. Like I said, I got to meet some neighbors to the south of us, and I look forward to reviewing the information. I have gone back to the website, it's available, and anyone can review it if they like. It's called the California League of Cities, and it was very informative. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jackie, for that report. Okay, moving on to the action items. Is there an action item on adopting the resolution to the City Council, the treatment of the parklets in San Juan Bautista? Is there any public comments on that?
Anyone in the public that would like to speak, please raise your hand or press *9. We have no hands raised at this time, Chair.
Okay, so Brian, do you have anything? Well, the only thing that we need to do the resolution is add what Commissioner Madero's added of the extension to the end of the year and no more parklets, correct? Is that what was the nuts and bolts of it?
Yeah, I think just basically a simple motion to accept the recommendation of the Historic Resources Board would be sufficient. And that recommendation is there for the record.
Okay, do we have a motion? Does anyone want to make a motion to pass a resolution? I don't know.
I'd like to add something else to it, being that we're in the planning commission portion. You're talking about action item A?
Yeah, but I need to add.
5A?
Yeah, it's been since I'm sorry. Do you have any comments or questions or concerns about action item A, Commissioner Maderos?
Yes, I do.
I'd
I'd just like to repeat, I've asked staff to provide the resolutions that are mentioned in the resolution that we're going forward with tonight. I believe there's a resolution for this parklet that we're going to be doing next, right? Okay. And in that resolution calls out for all the resolutions that leads up to us now when it comes to dealing with the parklets, as far as temporary parklets that we have available. And I went through all the resolutions to approve a continuance throughout the last couple of years. And I want to say that in 3 of the resolutions, it itemizes another resolution, and incorrectly so. Instead of resolution 21 it should be resolution 2021-48. It's been recorded and documented as resolution 2021-08. So on three of the documents, it's been noted incorrectly, just to bring that up. And I did some research as far as what's going on and the step that we're taking. And I do believe, as far as questions, comments, and concerns on my part, was pretty much well covered in my last statements with the Historical Resources Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Medeiros. Vice Chair Jackie Morris Lopez, do you have any comments, questions, or concern on the resolution?
My only concern, like I stated before in the HRB meeting and our other function, was my recommendation was to leave the term or the statement in regards to leaving them up until the end of the year. I think it was how Chair Medeiros had stated, he put in a reference to the construction of the streetscape, and I prefer to leave that out. So if you could please someone read, if that would be the secretary, as she is our note taker, I appreciate that, could read the final resolution that the HRB put forward, because that would be the one that I would want to vote on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Morris Lopez. Yeah, in a nutshell, I just want to make sure that it's to the end of the year, no more parklets, and I'm good with it. And
So just to be clear, your motion would be to forward the recommendation of the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee to the City Council, except that you would change the consideration, key consideration that the parklets would be extended only to the end of the year. And that would be the only change to the 5 key considerations there.
I believe,
is that correct?
I believe also to have no more permits issued.
Yeah, that's already in there, Yolanda.
Okay, I just want to make sure because
That's in the recommendations.
okay, and Commissioner Morris, Vice Chair Commissioner Loris Lopez wants to exclude the spheres of influence or the streetscape, whichever.
Yeah, so my understanding there is that reference to the 3rd Street Master Plan would, the construction of the 3rd Street Master Plan in that first sentence would just be replaced by the limitation on the extension to the end of the year. And that would take care of that.
Right.
So that first sentence is the only thing that would change in the EDCAC's recommendation. You know, that sentence just deals with the term of parklets in particular, not the rest of it.
Okay. So do we have a motion to pass this resolution?
We need the resolution. I want it to be read before we approve it.
I agree.
Top to bottom.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, so you want the entire resolution read?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
As amended.
Okay, so this is a
With the amendments.
resolution.
Hold on a second. Yeah, go ahead.
With the Brian,
I want to go over it. I want to get to it too myself. Hang on.
okay, Brian. I think both Commissioner Medeiros and Vice Chair Morris Lopez and myself want you to include the amendments that we want in this resolution. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to ad-lib those in, if you will. And so the resolution, this would be, you want the entire resolution read from top to bottom. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm trying to get to it. Oh, wait a minute, please. I'm trying to get to it on my notes here. Thank you.
Okay.
I thought I had it here.
That's why I get,
The reason why I'm bringing this up is because a lot's being said, and I want to make sure what we say in the resolution is exactly what's going to be changed, if anything's going to be changed, or
yes.
it's going to go as read. Hang on.
Yeah, David, that's why I always get paper copy.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is a resolution with a number to be established. Resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista recommending the term of the parklets encroachment permits. Whereas in an effort to control the pandemic caused by the COVID-19 virus, City Council declared a state of emergency March 17, 2020. And whereas the shelter-in-place health orders that followed the state of emergency closed all but essential businesses, and whereas this closure of businesses was harmful to the city's economy, and the city, among many other things, initiated the transformation of 3rd Street by adopting Resolution 2020-24 on May 19, 2020. And whereas to implement the transformation of 3rd Street, business owners were offered the opportunity to expand their business onto the public right-of-way and build decks known as parklets where customers could safely sit and enjoy their services. And whereas in an effort to protect the historic nature of the downtown, parklets were required to be built in compliance with guidelines adopted via City Council Resolution 2021-61. And whereas the parklet program was approved by the City Council for a period of 6 months ending December 31st, 2020, and serially extended until March 30th, 2021, February 16th, 2021, September 30th, 2021, March 30th, 2022, and May 31st, 2022, via Resolution 2022-21. Whereas the City Council desires to consider the evaluation and recommendation of the City of San Juan Bautista Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee established in part for this purpose, and the review and recommendation of the Historic Resources Board and Planning Commission. Planning Commission has considered the recommendation of the EDCAC and the Historic Resources Board regarding the term of parklets. Now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Commission recommends that the City Council approve the recommendation set forth in the report of the San Juan Bautista Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee as it may be amended with respect to the term of parklets, which shall be extended only to the end of 2022. Passed and adopted by the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista on the 3rd day of May 2022 by the following vote, etc.
That would be May 19, 2022 that the planning commission does it.
I just want to make,
yeah,
I want to, for the record, note that there nowhere was mentioned the master plan. Am I
correct.
correct?
Well,
Thank
yes,
you.
your amendment, yes, your amendment
Yes.
would replace that particular, except that you have to realize that some of the other considerations do mention the master plan, but they don't mention the master plan with respect to the term of parklets. And so the master plan is relevant. It's a program that will occur, and the community's experience with parklets will be taken into account. And that's a part of those considerations. I don't think you disagree with that. I think that the motion or the resolution that I read just simply replaces the term of extension related to the master plan. It replaces that with the extension to the end of the year. And that's the only change.
Correct.
Okay.
And I just want to make note of that any statements that I made, it was in reference to the report and the summary of that report. And if we were going to go forward with anything, it still doesn't come up with the fact that there is a master plan involved here. There is a master plan, but that's another issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
So thank you. There will be no resolution, including master plan, just to the end of the year and safety, like Chair Madero said in the HRB. And we just need to make those correction about the amendments, right? Commissioner Maderos, that they incorrectly put.
That doesn't apply to this resolution because everything in it is correct at this point in time, except for the amendments mentioned, recorded.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to pass this resolution?
I'll make a motion, well, shoot. I'll make a motion to a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista recommending the term of the parklet encroachment permit to this, to the planning, to the City Council.
I will second that. Can we have a vote, call, Norma?
So I wanted to point out that the first was Commissioner David Maderos, and the second is Vice Chair Jackie Morris Lopez. Is that correct?
No, that was Chair Delgado that seconded.
That is, I'm glad I asked. Thank you very much. Sometimes it's cutting out for me, so I apologize for that. So with that, we have vote here, Chair Yolanda Delgado.
Aye.
Commissioner David Maderos,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jackie Morris Lopez.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Norma, do we have to put in record that Commissioner McChain and Commissioner Baines were not here? They were absent in our vote? Question.
That would be in the minutes, yes. It will be noted in that record that, so when I say unanimous, I mean of those present tonight. So it will have a yes, 3 yes, 0 no, and 3 absent, or 2 absent. Goodness,
All right, thank you. I just want clarity. Thank you.
absolutely.
Okay, with that, we're going to action item B, the resolution recommending the city recognizing a public building for preservation month. Take it away, Brian. Oh, I'm sorry, we have to, did we say the resolution 2022-48? Did we mention that when you passed this resolution? Or you have to say,
Regarding the parklets?
yes. Did we give it
No.
20,
No.
2248?
You don't get
Okay.
to give it a number.
All right.
So in this item before you is recognizing the Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties and the local community's response to the fact that we are the city of history. And the Planning Commission wishes to recognize a property owner whose rehabilitation effort at 307 and 309 3rd Street, 313 and 315 3rd Street in that regard. And I think the City Council has taken action to recognize these properties. I think what happened here is that the delay of the Planning Commission meeting allowed the City Council to move ahead with these proclamations. And so these particular agenda items could very well be moved at this point because City Council did take action.
Okay, so then we can make the resolution for recognizing Mary Lopez, a Mute Point, and recognizing the San Juan Bautista, recognizing Vina Satua. And the other one, is there any more that we need to make mute, Brian?
No, actually, you could go ahead and adopt these resolutions, just understanding that the City Council has got there ahead of you. But you know, they're still good resolutions, so you can go ahead and adopt them.
Okay, do we need a vote?
Yeah,
Do we need a vote on that, clerk?
they're kind of lame
Yes,
duck
you need a
resolutions.
motion and a vote
Okay,
for resolutions, yes.
okay, I would like a motion to adopt the resolutions that the city council has already passed. Do I have a Motion to adopt those?
I second that motion to approve and adopt previously adopted items by the city council of items A through C.
I would clarify this is only B and C. If you are combining the two items together, which is totally fine to combine, make one motion to combine the two items, but it's only B and C as A is completed.
Clerk,
That was about the parklets.
that was my mistake.
Oh, it's okay.
B and C, yes.
Yes.
There's a lot on the agenda tonight. Okay.
Yes. I
So
will, I will second that. Can we have a roll call, please?
yes, thank you, Chair. Chair Yolanda Delgado,
Aye.
Commissioner David Maderos. You're muted, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Chair Jackie Morris Lopez.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously of members present.
Okay, and action item D, do we need to go over it again, or we're just okay with changing the date from the HRB to the 8th?
I think you already adopted a motion to change the date.
So moved.
Okay. And now we are going on action item 5E, approving affidavit of posting the agenda. Do I have a motion for this?
So moved.
I'll make the second. So do we need to take a roll call for approving the agenda? I believe so, right?
Yep.
Can we take a roll call, please?
Okay, thank you. Chair Yolanda Delgado.
Aye.
Commissioner David Maderos.
Yes.
Vice Chair Jackie Morris Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, now we're on discussion items. 6A, community planning, public engagement schedules. Take it away, Brian. Unmute yourself.
Here we go. Let's see, I'm going to share my screen. So can you see this agenda item, discussion items? on
Not
your
yet.
screen? No?
Not yet.
I'll on it. Oh,
Mhm. Yes.
okay, there we go. Okay. So this memo was written before the delay of your last planning commission meeting. So there will undoubtedly be some updates to these discussion items. And, you know, taking that into account, I'd like to really say that these items are for information and discussion by the planning commission. We can't go too far afield here, but we can discuss things that are reasonably related to these items as we wish, but no action can be taken on these items. So no voting, just information and discussion, and for you to let me know what you think, ask for any kind of comments so that I can understand your thoughts about these items. So we did talk previously a little bit about our community engagement, urban sphere of influence, urban growth boundary. I don't need to go into that. There was a flyer attached. There will be a similar flyer attached for the active transportation plan. So look forward to that coming out. We have arranged with the church, with the diocese, Monterey Diocese, and Father Alberto here to use Casa Maria for our charrette on June 8th. So you know, that'll be a nice venue, plenty of room for us to spread our maps all around and have a nice session.
Brian, may I interject? June 8th is the new Planning Commission and Historical meeting.
Did you do June 9th?
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. made me nervous. Okay.
You make me nervous.
All right. So the Planning Commission, various other people are concerned about window signs enforcement. We do have an enforcement, I don't want to say a code enforcement issue. We do have a concern about the fact that we don't really, our ordinance doesn't really accommodate as much flexibility as some businesses would like with respect to displays and so forth. And I'm not talking about permanent window signs. I'm talking about displays, merchandise or displays, signs related to merchandise, and that kind of thing, whether they're temporary or permanent. And we are concerned if we have permanent window signs that are in conflict with the ordinance. We want to treat everybody fairly. We want to treat everyone uniformly with respect to our current ordinance. But my feeling is that we don't just do an enforcement effort. We look at what's out there on the street. We look at what's working and what doesn't work. And I think we just need to make some modest changes, perhaps, to the ordinance to make it more effective from the standpoint of business retention and business development without sacrificing our historic character. And to do that, we need to carefully look at and do a survey, an inventory and a survey of the way people use signage in the downtown, because certainly there's a lot of variety there. So we just need time to be able to do that, and we haven't developed it. We want to do it, but we need to fit it in with everything else that we've got going on. We do have short-term rental enforcement that we just started. We have these active transportation plan and community plan efforts. We have a brand new Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee that is just beginning to reach out to other entities in the region. They've established subcommittees to gear up to do that work, and it's very complex. There's a learning curve there for them and for all of us as we relate to the economic development engine that is being geared up by the state office of Governor's Office of Business Development. And so we just need to make sure that we have enough bandwidth to be able to do these things. And that's in addition to the regular day-to-day work that we have with clients and, building permits and encroachment permits and, planning permits of various sorts. So we just need to have time and opportunity. So I just wanted to assure the commission and others that we do intend to develop this program. And I'm not looking for massive changes here. We have a great ordinance. We just need to figure out how to tweak it and make it work a little bit better. On the Casa Rosa project, that we requested code enforcement officer and building inspector and building official to place a stop work on the project. That's been there for a while. Everybody knows it. And there's been some work that everybody has seen during the inclement weather that we had. We allowed the owner to install windows, which they have done. That's responsible for the most recent work. Other than that, installing windows and making sure that they are secure with the necessary trim to protect those windows and the related siding is all that's allowed at this point. The applicants have been informed. They have there's a relatively long list of items that have been developed now by building inspection staff, and that list has been given to the project historical architect and the developer. There are a lot of things that occurred with that building that will need to be fixed and changed, and revised plans are necessary to enable that to occur. So that's where we are right now with Casa Rosa. It's a very serious issue, and it's a very serious problem with that building that we are actively working to resolve to get that project back under construction. With respect to the Rosa House, this is a long-standing topic of concern. The improvements there on the street are in the right of way. There is some question about whether they are public or private. And complicating the issue is that the sidewalk overhang will also need to be addressed along with the boardwalk because they're a part of an integrated whole. So I'm not sure what to say about that, except that I don't have a solution yet. So we do, it's on the city's radar, but we don't have a thought right now about how we should go after it. That said, we have applied for $750,000 of historic resource rehabilitation grant money through the federal government, and that money, some of that money, would be used to make these sort of repairs. You remember what the state parks did when they had a boardwalk to repair. It took them 3 months and a lot of careful work to fix that so that people can safely walk on it and make sure it's historically relevant. So this is a complicated topic for such a little building, and some of that money would be used. If we don't get that grant, we will not stop in seeking more historic resource rehabilitation money, because oftentimes people don't have the resources to do what the Mission Plaza project is doing, which is to carefully look at what needs to be done. And you can see every day the care that they're taking with that particular building, and that's another subject further on in the discussion. You've heard a little bit of comment this evening about the Midnight Express floodplain violation. The city has issued a stop work order. We have been in communication with the property owner. The agencies have been notified: California Department of Fish and Wildlife, the Army Corps of Engineers, and also the State Water Resources Control Board, all of which are taking our lead with respect to, for temporarily, I think. They want us to help them understand the nature of the problem that exists there, and then they will step in and do what they needed. If they have to, they will issue a notice of violation on their own. But our next step here is to follow the stop work order with a notice of violation, and then begin discussions with the property owner about ways to remedy that violation. And so that is coming up very soon. And alternatively, we have other means to assess the nature of that violation, which according to our inspection and our on-site inspection and our photographic evidence, is significant. And so I understand the property owner's concern, and it's well-founded in this case. With that said, we have had some extensive conversations with our attorney and with the agencies to understand what we need to do, and we're looking forward to a satisfactory collaborative arrangement with the property owner to fix those violations. And with respect to the Plaza Market preservation, I did approve a minor historic design review permit, and there's been some controversy about that. I admit that controversy is well-founded, because ordinarily you would expect that the extent of the work being done on this particular building might come before the Historic Resources Board. I looked at the ordinance, and my interpretation was that methods, paint material, and consistent with the existing character and material and colors of the building were something that could be done ministerially. And I did have extensive conversations with the owner in accordance with my responsibility to the community. And this wasn't done willy-nilly. My responsibility is to make sure our standards are being upheld, and whether we do that on an administrative basis or whether we do that in the context of a HRB meeting, it's still necessary to have staff undertake a careful examination along with the applicant property owner to make sure that the standards are appropriate and relevant to the Secretary of the Interior standards for maintenance. So this is not a rehabilitation effort. It is a maintenance operation, and I am very happy with the response that I've received from the property owner with respect to the work that's being done. And when they find something that's significant, they recognize it and they do acknowledge it and develop a plan accordingly. And I've attached to the agenda this evening a complete record of the paint material, an examination of the methods that are being used so that the Planning Commission can see the care being taken on this particular building. Doesn't look like an easy job necessarily. So again, in this regard, I'm happy the city attorney is still here because we do have a very interesting case here where the Old Mission San Juan Bautista and the Monterey Diocese have declared via the attached correspondence that adherence to our historic preservation ordinance presents a substantial hardship by delaying needed urgent repair to the church, roof, and east elevation exterior walls. And the diocese has completed an extensive analysis by ARG, qualified architectural historian with a record dealing with adobe structures like this, and that prescribes a methodology that will be used to undertake repair. And this declaration will enable the diocese to be allowed to proceed pursuant to the government code that you see here on your screen. And I won't read it all, but what it basically says is that where the diocese declares a hardship of this sort, there is a religious exemption here for things that are not of commercial nature. And that is the category for the repairs that are needed, and they're needed urgently. And so that's why we agreed to work with the diocese to put this declaration on the agenda. After this, and this, again, this is not for Planning Commission discussion. After this, there is no jurisdiction the city will have for things being done on the mission grounds that are not commercial in nature. And so that needs to be understood by the community. And I understand that there's been a fund established for the repair of the Mission Church. If you see back behind that east wall, the adobe is exposed, and the roof has had tarps on it. There's leaking that's coming down from behind that wall, and it's seriously impacting the integrity of the structure. And they need to act quickly. So tonight, with this being on the agenda, they will be able to do what they need to do after invoking this exception as this agenda item indicates. So attached to this, we have the community flyer. Again, there will be something similar to this that we put out for the active transportation plan. Here is the information presented by McCandless Properties regarding the Plaza Market Adobe building. There's a careful letter written by the project owner, property owner, and they have not only acquired the expertise, but they've hired experts to guide them in the maintenance activity that's currently underway. And everybody seems very qualified, in my opinion. And then not only are they qualified, but they did apply for a permit. I advised them the appropriate method to be used. People may disagree and have, but they did adhere to the permit requirements. They did use the appropriate paint selection. They did supply colors and materials, and they did receive my approval for those for the use of those. So you can see there that's signed off by staff after an extensive review and conversation with the owner and other people involved. So here you have some more detail regarding the material, colors that were actually used, so that people can actually see what material, what paint material was used, because there was some conversation back and forth, members of the community about the appropriateness of painting this structure. And then after it was determined that it was appropriate to paint the structure, then the type of paint being used was subject to some discussion. So we just want to make sure that we've closed all these loops. And then there's some correspondence to Caravan as part of the agenda packet that I prepared, and information from our ordinance in that regard. And then, of course, there's always a surprise, and the owners have recognized that, and they have not submitted a plan for treating that, but before anything is done in that particular area, they will do so, and they've been advised that they need to do that to stay in compliance with their issued permit. So a lot of time spent, and a lesson for me, I suppose, to get out in front with this information before it becomes a concern. And the mayor made this recommendation to me, and I wholeheartedly internalized that message that it's much better and to get out in front with these improvement projects. So a little lesson learned there, but I wanted to reassure everyone that that project is being carefully taken care of. With respect to the correspondence I mentioned, here is the correspondence on the record that claims a religious exemption for the work being done. After this meeting tonight, the mission and the church will be able to go forward and do what they need to do without seeking any permit from the city of San Juan Bautista. Okay, so that I think concludes the material and the discussion.
Okay.
This is the report from their architectural historian regarding the mission. So we know that they're on the job. And then some discussion about whether what they're proposing is something that we can actually contemplate. And city attorney and I did talk about this, and Bob may have something to chime in if
Yes.
if necessary.
Are you done, Brian? So I can let Mr. Rafi in? Robert?
Yep, that concludes my.
Go ahead, Mr. Rafi.
Yeah, well, the assistant city manager has certainly given a good description of the law as it relates to the use of a religious building, non-conforming religious building. There is an exception and to civil regulation in that context when the religious organization objects to the application of the subdivision, that's in the government code, and the municipal regulation, which is our municipal code, and determines in a public forum that it will suffer substantial hardship, which is likely to deprive it of its reasonable use of its property in furtherance of its religious mission. And so in that case, the diocese has done that. And the reason we're bringing it to you tonight is this is that public forum. And there's really, the law does not really allow the civil organization, the city, any leeway to deny or question the religious institution's invocation of this exception. The law came under an act that's called the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act, or RLU. You may have quoted in different places. So, but I think Brian did a great job, and that's all I have to say.
Okay. With the discussion island, I have a question for you, Mr. Rafi.
Mm-hmm.
If the mission charges administration to go into the church and makes us pay taxes when we go into the shop we pay taxes, is it still is it still follow that rule?
It's a religious use, yes.
So they can pay taxes, and I'm just asking because someone asked me this. You have to pay to go into the church, which,
Yeah, I think it's a donation is requested, is it not?
no, you have to pay to go in. They will not let you go in without paying. And there's taxes. So my question, which I was going to ask later because I wrote it down, is it still a religious use when that you have to pay taxes and pay to go into the church?
Yes. The Mission San Juan Bautista does qualify as a religious use. Yes.
Even if you pay to go in,
Even if you pay to go in. Yes, ma'am.
it's not a donation. Okay. That's one of my
There
questions.
there is one aspect here that's pretty interesting. If at one point the mission was considering a gift shop on the mission grounds, in that case, I think there's a question whether that mission structure would be covered by this exemption.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying
Probably
this.
probably not, but the church and
But that's
church grounds,
attached
et
to the
cetera, would be.
building and going in, and people think of stuff that I wouldn't have thought of asking.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Good
So,
question. Good question.
okay, so then it's okay to pay to go into a church, and it's okay to charge taxes.
That'd be a good question to ask Joel Gentry, who's the spokesperson for the mission.
Yeah, so I'm just asking. I mean,
I know, but that you're asking a question. That's a good person to get answers.
Yeah, I agree with you, David. And we did collaborate on this item with Joel and work closely with him in getting this on the agenda.
thank you. So okay, let's go by roll call. Commissioner Morris Lopez, do you have any questions on the discussion items? Do you have any comments, concerns, or questions?
Well, there's a lengthy list of discussion items. This is 6A through F, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I think I'm pretty comfortable and glad to hear that item A, there'll be more engagement opportunities for more of a cross section of the community. I think whoever mentioned, let's get the working young ones out here, maybe have a couple of evenings meetings, or even if people are willing to give up a work day, maybe pay our staff to come in on a Saturday and maybe do a weekend Saturday meeting when people are not at work and commuting to Santa Clara County. As far as let's see, B is something that I really feel strongly about. First of all, I want to say that there is a letter by the Historical Society chair or president, Ms. Wanda Goubert, and I wonder if Assistant City Manager Brian Fott has that in his possession, because that should be read into the record if we're allowed to give public commentary. Do we have that letter?
I was going to read
Yeah.
that. I was going to read that into about where it codes. She cites the code where there is no neon sign allowed in the city of San Juan,
Yeah,
and we don't need to do a survey. That we just need to follow the rules.
Okay. You have the letter and you'll read that verbatim, Chair.
Or unless Brian wants to. Do you want to do that?
Oh, I'm happy with you doing it.
Okay.
So I guess what I have to say to that item is that I agree. We've had these codes on the books for quite a bit. There was a lot of thought given to them in respect to the historic nature of the 3rd Street, historic preservation, the ambiance, everything that San Juan, claims to be and is. So I feel that some of the signs that have been going up, certainly it looks like there's been no one, I'm not big on people just coming in and saying, okay, here's a code violation, here's a ticket, boom. No, I think it's a watchful vigilance and a circling back and educating, re-educating, because we have had a lot of new shops come and go. Some shops are here for maybe 6 months, some are here for a few years. Some are here one weekend and literally they're gone in 2 months. So I think it would take someone due diligence on staff, whoever that may be, I don't know, to just kind of circle back, and look at the codes, because we do have them, and they were very lengthy, and there was a lot of input into them. I think the neon signs are definitely moving signs, with the exception of the grandfathered Mission Cafe and Old Neil's Market neon sign, which is not operating, nor is the Mission Cafe. Those were both grandfathered in. Those are timeless signs. They're probably near 70 years old, Brian, maybe 60. I know they're pretty old. But the stuff that I see going up, it doesn't fit with the decorum or the ambiance of 3rd Street, like vinyl signs, flags, colorful flags, banners. And the one that I really, really have sort of like nails on chalkboard is when people get really bright fluorescent colored cardboard and freehand their sign. I think someone just needs to kindly remind them that's not a sign that's in our ordinance. So I think that I don't know how you want to tweak that, Brian, but I really think that the people that came up with that ordinance gave it a lot of thought, and people that are already here had to jump through hoops to get their signage up. And I think it's not fair to have people just blatantly throwing up whatever they feel is a sign for their business.
Yeah,
with
and
the-
sorry. I agree with you. And the first cut would be to evaluate the existing conditions out there with respect to the current ordinance. So yeah, that definitely is the first thing that we would do. First pass. Yeah.
Right. And just sort of educate them. Maybe they didn't know about the sign ordinance. As far as I have to say, I plead ignorance to what is really going on with the details of La Costa Rosa. I've now been brought up to speed. Midnight Express, I'm not really familiar with what sort of businesses out there. I am concerned if people are, moving dirt and whatnot and changing patterns of natural creeks and natural environs and wildlife out there. I think that's serious. So maybe it's a matter of working with them and coming to a resolution to help them be in compliance. And I think that's, once again, when we give permits to businesses, even if they're within our eyesight and we walk past them every day and we live in the city limits, it still behooves us who are on staff or whoever to just circle back and, stop in and say, hello, how are things going? To make sure that the operating businesses that they apply to permit or a business license for are in accordance with what they told us they're going to open up. So it's a matter of following up and going back. And I think the same can be said for Midnight Express. Short-term rentals, I know we hired an outside company to do a count. I've heard that that's coming along. Once again, from the count to reinforcement and going back, I think, we need to kind of put a little bit more steam into that because the rentals have been here. I've been able to look them up on the internet, Airbnb, Google, whatnot, for a few years now. So I think we really need to step it up and start regulating. Plaza Market, I commend those people. That's a huge endeavor. That's a beautiful building. It's taking a lot of work, and I appreciate what they're doing to take their time. And Brian, for you to be behind that and help them with that operation. It's not an easy one. And the mission, what can I say about the mission? It's a church. It's an establishment that is not beholden to the same rules and regulations of private businesses. That's all I can say. Good luck to them.
Thank you, Commissioner, Vice Chair Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner David Maderos, do you have anything to state on the discussion items?
Well, what more is there to be said that hasn't been said already? So I appreciate all the comments and the considerations. But it looks like that I'm comfortable with all the items A, B, C, D, and E, and F. When it comes to the public engagement, I'm comfortable with that. Code enforcement, what's happening there, I'm comfortable with that. As far as the signs go, I like the idea that we're going to make some changes there when it comes to addressing code enforcement. I think that needs to be improved. I'm looking forward to that. Code enforcement updates on Casa Rosa, I'm pretty familiar with it. Understand what's going on with Midnight Express and short-term rentals. I believe staff is working on that, as well as city council. As to Mike, as far as I'm concerned, is going well. Rosa House sidewalk, I know where that's going. That's been an eyesore as far as I'm concerned, what's happening inside and around. And so I'm looking forward to see how that's going to get corrected. Plaza Market preservation, boy, that's a really touchy subject, and it's long overdue. I'm glad they're working on it. Looks like they got the right professional people on that. They're doing all the right things there. I think staff, as far as that goes, our city hall's on top of it. I'm comfortable with that. Old Mission San Juan Bautista exempt, as far as that goes, understood. And I go along with that too as well. Right now, just looking forward to see where we're going to go as far as following up on that and following through. Looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay, it's my turn. Thank you, Brian, for your discussion items and the explanations. As far as the code enforcement for the windows, don't you remember, David, that we had to go through the Valero, that we did not allow them any neon signs? We went 3 meetings to say, no, you have to have it lights. So there, I disagree with education, but I will go with the 2 commissioners. I will agree with that. Municipal Code 11-10-100 prohibits signs. There's no need to take a survey. We already have something on the books. Let's not reinvent the wheel. It says illumination signs, which with inspections of the signs included SJBMC 11-0020. Those are probably the ones that Jackie mentioned. It says no neon, fluorescent colors, flashing lights, and LD lights emitting doom. What more do we have to do? They've already invented the wheel, and let's not do it again. Get this ordinance, give it to all the businesses, and if they don't comply within 10 days, start citing them. It's simple. That's what I have to say about that. As far as the Casa Rosa, that's unfortunately Planning Commission, Historical Board, and all that saw the desecration of that building, and now the owner is dealing with it. And as far as the Casa Rosa house, if it's a hazard to walk on there and the top is building, why aren't we deeming it unable to live in? If it's so unsafe for anybody to walk on the sidewalk, why are the owners allowed to walk in there and live there? That's my question. We should deem it as uninhabitable. We can do that. We need to take a serious look at that. And in here you say public or private improvements, and that we're getting $750,000. Are we giving that also to the Casa Rosa project on 3rd Street? Are we going to offer him some money? I mean, we can not allow one person to get it and not the other person. That's my statement on that. And Midnight Express, have you, she states that she has 2 committee guidelines. She states that she's talked to you about the mobile home. She's talked to you about well 6. She feels like you are harassing her and being prejudiced. Have we gone out to the well 6 to look at it? Have we gone out to the mobile home? These are concerns that I want to clarify, because I don't want the city to be held to, well, they're just harassing one business. And these are public records that she has stated. And I don't know if she's talked to you. This is just what she stated tonight. As far as the Plaza Market preservation, David, don't you remember when Inacus went in? We said these colors were okay. Even into the smallest store on the preservation, the sign, the overhang. I don't know why or who gave Brian the okay to do this. This is why we have the HRB and the Planning Commission, so that we can go through this and not have all these now explain why I did this and why I did that. And for the old mission, I'm fine with it. I just wanted to ask those 2 questions. And for the association and the sphere of influence, I agree with everything, with the mission and everything else. But I'm really concerned that you took it upon yourself to approve minor changes to the design without consulting the HRB. That's remember, David, we went through Anaka's, we went through 3 meetings for him to get it right with the colors. We approved the colors that he wanted. Then we went to the next step, and then with the overhang and then the sign. It was a lengthy progress, but there's no complaints on Anaka's. And again, on the Valero, that sign, he wanted a fluorescent sign, and we said no. So we don't need to get a survey. We just need to enforce the codes that are already on the books. And with that, one point of
clarification on
hold on.
the Plaza Market.
Hold on.
We didn't approve any minor changes.
Well, that's not what you said. It goes HRB found. I approved a minor historic design review permit for a new permit. Yeah.
Correct.
The method of the paint used and consistent exterior. I mean, that was to come to the HR so we can see if the paint's okay. And we did this with the Nakas, and it took I'm gonna think 3 or 4 meetings, planning commissions, to get that right, because we want to keep the integrity of San Juan alive. Also, I'll just put that on comments, but everything's cool. I'm good. Okay, let's go to 7, planning commission comments. Planning commissioners, do you have any comments? Jackie Morris Lopez, do you have any comments, concern, or questions to?
Yes, I guess my comment is very happy with the meeting tonight. I think it went very smoothly. There's been some recent public admonishment of our way that our planning commission meetings have been held in the past. Unfortunately, I feel that that letter came, I think, in an untimely manner, and it was quite a surprise. I think the committees all need to work together, and if there is an issue, that should maybe have a time that we can discuss as groups, maybe representatives from staff and from all of the committees, without having a violation of a Brown Act, but simply a meeting of the mind, so to speak, to discuss openly and honestly and respectfully anything. And I see the clerk shaking her head. Perhaps that could be a teaching, I don't know if you're in disagreement, a teaching meeting, something of the sort, because things of this nature, an open letter that's in the packet from the council meeting last night that got dated today, I have still yet to receive it personally as a commissioner, is there on public record in the packet for all to read. And I feel it does a huge disservice to the commissioners that are in attendance tonight, that we are trying really hard to represent our constituents. We were appointed, yes, we were at the pleasure of the council, but I think we all volunteer our time, and we all try to do our best to keep abreast of the items that are presented to us. We're not perfect. Some of us have been doing this longer than others, but I think we honestly come to these meetings to really try to do a good job for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Morris Lopez. Commissioner David Medeiros, do you have anything to say?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so now my mic's on. Okay, just a couple of things. I too did some training, and that was last week. I went to one of the seminars that's put out by the California Preservation Foundation, and it was a half a day seminar for 4 hours I spent, and we were dealing with a seminar equipped with dealing with realtors, with the critical tools, what tools that we can use when it comes to marketing and understanding historic properties, and a lot of information about that was involved. So I went through it. I learned a whole lot of things about preservation when it comes to real property, when it comes to real estates and what have you. What can we do with developers, and what can we do with real estates, and when it comes to architectural design and what have you, when it comes to dealing with the experts. and property owners and things like that, and all the incentive programs that are available when it comes to finding out what is historic, what does it mean, when it comes to identifying it, and what can we do to improve our communities, to improve our cities, and economically. In other words, and all the incentives that are involved with state, federal, and even regional here locally that you can get involved with, that can make things a lot easier when it comes to property owners who have historical unit or buildings or structure or even property that needs to be dealt with. How can you do that effectively, feasibly? And not only that, make a profit out of it. In other words, it brings in, it raises our economy when it comes our resources within our community and things like that. Really, really good 4 hours spent there with that. So I tied that into a lot of the things that we're doing here in San Juan, and I linked everything together on a report and send that out to City Hall here in San Juan Bautista. And anybody wants a copy of that, there's a whole lot of good information in there. I think it's relevant to what we're in the middle of doing when it comes to even with this sphere of influence and what have you, because we're talking about real property. We're talking about where we're going to zone, how we're going to zone into the future, things like that. So I think it was a timely training, and I want to thank the city for allowing me to go to that seminar. One of the things that I want to talk about besides that is the fact that our training when it comes to us who are volunteers, we're not experts when it comes to preservation, when it comes to a city municipality and things like that. I think we're expected to go through some training. And I think because of that, we need to look into how we do training. How do we select our candidates who want to volunteer as historical resources board members and also planning commissioners? Why do we train every year? What do we train in, and what are the things? How do we fill in the gaps that seem to be lacking with certain individuals who need more information and understanding of how to work with the city and make things happen? I think what I wrote here on my note is I want to put this subject matter when it comes to selecting and when it comes to training volunteers to become historic resource board members and planning commissioners. What do we do with those people who are you might say, want to get involved, participate in such a way that they get selected, and what is expected of them when they get selected? So I'd like for us, as far as the subject matter, to discuss this item on the next HRB and PC meeting agenda, to review whether more details or policies should be considered to upgrade our current policies with San Juan Bautista's Historical Resource Board and Planning Commission candidates when it comes to the selection process, when it comes to the protocol, when it comes to what are the expectations, what about conduct, accountability, responsibility, if not already in our process, as far as process selection goes, if those things are not in there, written in our policies for the city when it comes to that, I'd like to discuss that more in future meetings and be part of an agenda item in the discussion item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. Yes, I see your hand up, Don. I will call you when it's the community development planners time. Thank you. As far as me, I would like to know who put on the agenda action item on the city council. I already know who hasn't and who didn't. I would like to know who put that on the agenda. And I would like to know why weren't we privy to the city, the planning commissioner, where you guys have meetings prior to the meetings with the lawyer there. I just want to know who put that on the agenda as an action item, because I know already who didn't. And that to me was not professional to put it on there and not give us a heads up. As the city planning can go prior to the meetings with the lawyer, talk about disparity and make sure it's not a Brown Act. Why aren't we allowed that same respect from you, Don, and you, Brian? Also, I would like to know, and we put on the agenda, who allowed the windmill to put on shakes on, not wood shank, what is it? I'm not a roofer, but the wood things on that. I remember Rachel Ponce saying that they made it to look historic in one of our meetings because we were talking about a bell. That's why it's there, the historic. We were supposed to put a bell there when we were fighting about they're discussing about the bell to be placed on the fire hydrant. Who permitted that building to not put wood shakes on it? Because there was supposed to be wood so it can look historical. Just the same thing that across the street, the person that wanted to develop the gas station wanted a flat roof with no shingles. We said, no, it has to be old style and they have to have the clay things. So I'm only aware of it because of Rachel Ponce making that making that presentation of it. And I'm sure if you ask David, because he was on that planning commission where they made, because you've been on it before, David, where they had to have wooden shakes. And now they're just, I don't know. Who's making these decisions? I think that.
I can answer that question. That came through as a building permit with roof material, colors and materials that we usually get. The building is not in a historical district. It's not on the inventory. It's not a designated historical resource in any of the context statements that I've read. It was built in the early 1990s. It's not 45 years old. It's a commercial building with a shake roof that was deteriorated and needed to be replaced. And I understand the concern in the community about design attributes, but this building is not in any category that would have resulted in any kind of historic review. So I think that characterization is misplaced.
Well, we can put in design features in a building, right? And I think that design building was in the features when it was being built per the Rachel Ponce, just like we're making a design issue on the new building across the street from as a gas station. So did you check to see if there was some annotation where it had to be wooden shakes, or did you just take it upon yourself to say, I don't know. I just want to know. Did you look into it with the Historical Society that there was contracts made when it was built?
But there was no need to look to the Historical Society because it's not in the inventory and it's not 45 years old.
I understand that, but you were not here when Rachel Ponce made that claim of that building having to be a precise look. And that's how they were allowed. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I see your point.
You should ask. And I heard that you allowed him to do shingles because it was too expensive for wood. Did you say that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. Okay, Don, you have the floor.
Chair Delgado, we failed to solicit public input during the discussion items, and we have 2 or 3 members of the public who have expressed to me a desire to speak on those items during discussion. Do we have time to go back and include them in tonight's meeting and include their comments?
I thought, if I'm mistaken, clerk, can you read what Brian said, that it was only for the discussion items for the commissioners only, because I was under the impression that there was no public comment. Could you review that, please, clerk?
We have 3 hands raised.
No. Yeah, there's no action on these items, but that doesn't foreclose any public comment.
I'm just going by what you said. That's why I did not allow public comment.
So the public-
Again,
Any matter on
again,
it.
let me just say that,
Go ahead, Robert.
Just mention that the public may comment on any item on the agenda.
Okay. Well, I was just going by what Brian said, because this is a special meeting and they can't comment on the discussion. Yeah, let's go back and, Norma, could you please let the people speak? The public?
Yes, Madam Chair, we will go back. So we are taking testimony on items 6A through F as it was presented by staff as one lump presentation. We do have 2 people to speak. First one is Kara. And Kara, I'm bringing you in. If you unmute yourself, your 3-minute timer will start.
Okay, thank you, members. I wanted to talk about the signage and then very briefly about the mission. And since the windmill market was brought up, I'd like to comment on that too. I thought the comments submitted by Vanda Guibert were going to be read into the record because she served on the Historic Resources Board and Planning Commission for 10 years. And they spent an inordinate amount of time on the sign ordinance. And as she said, it was quite a long period of time parsing every sentence, measurement, and photograph. A ton of work went into that. And now, you know, many of the people, the people who are selling things, I mean, they're flagrantly disregarding the sign ordinance because there are no consequences. And so let's, you know, this is a historic town. A lot of thought went into how we want to present our historic town in the sign ordinance. So I hope Vanda's comments will be submitted and be part of the record. Then on the mission, they got a pass because they said it was hardship under the statute. They can claim hardship. And the reason they gave for the hardship was that it would take too long to go through the city process. I don't have an issue with that because ARG, Architectural Resources Group, is one of the top conservation companies in the state. I think they did City Hall in San Francisco. I think they did the Opera House. They are super big. And Katie Horak is now a partner in that firm. And she was the lead person when we did our inventory. She was working for Galvin and Associates at the time. So I'm sure ARG is going to do an excellent job. But the only reason they can claim that or are claiming that hardship is because they say it would be too hard and take too much time to go through our processes. And then about the windmill, which I tried to discuss earlier under the public comment area, you know, apparently I could only discuss things that were discussed on the agenda. This is a gateway. The Historic Resources Board and the Planning Commission have authority over gateway construction. So that would also apply when the medical facility starts getting involved across from the Valero gas station there. This is a gateway building. Its roofs are so visible and they are, you know, a prominent feature. The people who designed this initially spent so much time making sure that it looked rural and barn-like and authentic. The composition tile that was allowed to go on there, the asphalt tile, makes it look like a really 50s.
Kara, your 3-minute
remodel.
time is up. Can you please wrap up?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Oh,
Is there
thank
anything,
you.
is there anyone else?
There is. We have Shauna Friels. I'm bringing you in. If you unmute yourself, you have 3 minutes.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Mhm. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. I'm Shauna Friels and I'm speaking under item 6D as a property owner of the Rosas house, co-owner with my brother. I did want to give a little bit of background. Brian, I actually reached out to Brian when I first saw this on your agenda, I think maybe 2 agendas ago. And wanted to just kind of give a little brief background. Our family has owned the home for 45 years, and the city actually placed barricades up on our building without our knowledge back in 2005. And so that's how long those barricades have been up. And there were some sidewalk closed signs that were put up by the city. That was prior to my ownership. That was when my father owned the building. Since he's passed, my brother and I own it now. We, as a family, had been working with the city to have assistance in repair, because there's a question of, is it a sidewalk? Is it owned by is it within our own property? Is it actually part of the city sidewalk? And so again, the city decided to go ahead and put up barricades. We've boarded up and covered some of the issues that have developed over the years. The boards on the front sidewalk get broken frequently by skateboarders and bicyclists and that sort of thing. Anyways, I just wanted to give that background, and then also explain that when we had our interim city manager, Ed Tweez, he actually was looking into having the property surveyed and helping us figure out a way to repair that sidewalk, boardwalk area. But I don't think he ever had the opportunity to finish his research. So I did want to give that background and let you know that the Rosas house is co-owned. We're family members that own it, myself and my brother, and it's just a single family residence. And I look forward to hearing more from the city as far as how we can work on this together collectively to repair that boardwalk. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Shauna, for that background. So if the city put up those barricades, then we can take them down because they are violating ADU policies. And sidewalks do get walked on, sidewalks do get cracked. And thank you, Shauna. And Shauna brought up a point that she wants the city to help them. I mean, I want this city to be equal in disparity of money and helping. Are you guys going to also help the gentleman on the Rosa House that is historical that you guys have closed down?
Chair, we do still have more members of the audience who want to speak. Is that
Okay.
okay? Should I keep moving forward?
Yeah, I thought that there was only 2. You said 2, but
We've had more hands pop up.
all right, perfect.
We
Thank
do
you.
that. Okay, so the next one, Maria Orozco, bringing you in. If you unmute yourself, your 3-minute timer will start.
Hi, this is Maria Orozco again on the Midnight Express thing. I just wanted to emphasize also with the timing to get things resolved, or even for permits to be given, it's a very long process, and time is money, especially for small businesses such as myself. And then especially after COVID, we don't have much business. We don't have much time to be waiting for the city 2 months almost right now just for us to get some kind of clarification on our violation. Who knows how long it's going to take for it to even get corrected, because we're going to have to wait to get whatever study they're going to require, and then have to get some civil engineer to come on board and do that. And they're all busy, and then come back to the city, have it reviewed. That's months. We're talking at least 6 months before we're able to even try to clear it. And, even to get a permit, it takes forever. So if the process could have been a little bit more quicker and do a little bit more on top of things, then we can get I would be more suited to applying for every single thing I possibly can think of on my property if I knew that you guys would be quick to respond. And right now it's like, even to ask for the violation, like I just said, it's taking you guys almost 2 months to tell me even how we're going to clear it. It's really unfortunate, because I think that the city's losing revenue, because obviously I'm not developing and all my money is going towards the waiting period. And then this study you guys want to perform is over $12,000. And I don't have that kind of money to be throwing in the trash. When a simple topo can be done and it could be figured out where the elevations were changed, and we can correct whatever you guys decide you want us to correct. And, you know, this exaggerated amount of money just thrown in the trash is just not really helping, not the business owner, not the property owner, and not the city as well, because all it's doing is delaying revenue to come to the city's hands. We have prospect businesses that want to use and rent our property and bring business to the city of San Juan Bautista, which is clear within our zoning admittance. But I mean, they get shined away if they find that it's so difficult to get permits. It's just sad. If they can't get a permit to bring their business on board, then it's really difficult for anybody wanting to do business with San Juan Bautista. And, you know, this is revenue that the city's actually losing. That's all I just wanted to say on that.
Thank you, Maria Orozco. Is there anybody else? Norma?
There is not at this time. No other hands raised. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Say hi to your wife, David. Yeah, 2 months and no response, that's not acceptable, if that's true. I don't know. And then I get a report that Brian is talking to the owner. Who's telling the truth? I don't know. Again, going back to the Rosa House on, I can't remember the street, probably the San Juan Bakery. If the city put those signs up, they need to be taken down, in my opinion, because they're violating ADA. And if you guys are going to give money to Shauna Frills to help her fix her house, you should do that to the person on 3rd Street. It's not fair. That's just me. With that,
We were at 7B.
7B. Now we're at 7B. Now, with that, I was going to say, do we have a motion to adjourn?
But we need to go back to 7B because you didn't allow staff their opportunity. Mhm.
Okay, Brian, go ahead if you have any comments.
I'm good.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn? I make a motion to adjourn.
I second the motion.
Can you take a roll call, please?
Yes. Chair Yolanda Delgado,
Yes.
Commissioner David Maderos, you need to unmute yourself, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Chair Jackie Morris Lopez.
Yes, you can just leave out the Jackie if it's just easier. I have a long name, so
Okay.
that's fine. Thank you. Yes.
Yes. And so, Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we adjourn at what time?
It is 9:15.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good meeting.
Good night. Thank you.
All right.